My name is Manul, but some people call me Pallas's cat. I am a small wildcat, and I live a very solitary life across the vast open spaces of Central Asia. You can find me in places like the rocky steppes of Mongolia, and even high up in the Himalayan mountains. These places are tough with freezing winters and hot summers, but I am perfectly built for this kind of world. I don't like crowds, so I spread out. In a huge area of 100 square kilometers, you might only find 4 to 8 of us living our separate lives, which is just the way I like it. My home is a challenging environment, but it provides everything I need to survive. I make my den in rocky crevices, abandoned marmot burrows, or small caves. These spots give me shelter from the extreme weather and a safe place to rest away from predators. The landscape is often treeless and covered in rocks and sparse grass, which offers the perfect backdrop for my camouflage. I spend my days peering out from these hiding spots, watching the world go by and waiting for the right moment to find my next meal, staying hidden from anything that might see me as a threat. Living in such a vast and difficult terrain means I need to be a master of my surroundings. I rely on my keen senses and my ability to blend in with the rocky, grassy plains that stretch for miles. My world is one of patience and observation, not of speed. I am not a fast runner like a cheetah. Instead, my entire life is built around stealth and careful movement. The open spaces are my kingdom, and I rule it not with power but with quiet, watchful intelligence, making the most of every rock and every shadow that my habitat provides. The solitude of the steppes is my constant companion. Unlike domestic cats, I have no desire for human contact or the company of other cats except for a very brief time each year. My days are structured around the rhythms of my environment, the rising and setting of the sun, and the movements of the small animals I hunt. This solitary existence is crucial for my survival, as resources can be scarce. By living alone, I ensure there is enough food and territory for myself, a strategy that has allowed my kind to thrive in these harsh, beautiful landscapes for millions of years. Many people say I have a grumpy face, but it's just how I'm built. I'm about the size of a regular house cat, weighing around 4.5 kilograms, but I look much bigger and stockier. This isn't because I'm fat, it's because I have the densest fur of any cat in the entire world. This super thick coat is my personal insulation, keeping me warm during the brutal winters when temperatures plummet far below freezing. My fur even changes color with the seasons. In the winter, it becomes a silvery gray to match the snowy rocky ground, and in the summer, it turns a more reddish brown to blend in with the dry earth. My ears are another special feature that adds to my unique appearance. They are very short, round, and set low on the sides of my head. This isn't a fashion statement, it's a clever adaptation for survival. When I'm stalking prey or hiding from predators like eagles or foxes, my low-set ears allow me to peek over rocks without giving away my position. They don't stick up and break my silhouette, making me nearly invisible. In fact, my scientific name, Autocolobus, actually means ugly-eared, but I think they are perfectly designed for my life as a stealthy hunter on the open plains. Now let's talk about my eyes. If you look closely, you'll notice something very unusual for a small cat. My pupils are round, just like the pupils of a human or a big cat like a lion or tiger. Most small cats have vertical, slit-like pupils that are great for focusing in low light. Scientists believe my round pupils give me excellent vision across the varied terrain I call home, helping me judge distances accurately without needing to move my head too much. This, combined with my flattened face, gives me that permanently unimpressed expression that has made me famous on the internet. All these features together, my dense fur, my low-set ears, and my round pupils, are not just for show. They are the tools that have allowed me to survive for millions of years in some of the world's most extreme environments. I am a living example of perfect adaptation. My stocky body is built for conserving heat, my camouflage coat is for hiding in plain sight, and my unique face is designed for a life of ambush. So while I may look grumpy, every part of me is a finely tuned instrument for a life of stealth and survival. I am a skilled hunter, but my technique is all about surprise, not speed. I am what you call an ambush predator. Since I can't outrun my prey over long distances, I rely on patience and stealth. I am most active during the day, which makes me diurnal. I spend a lot of my time hiding behind rocks or in low vegetation, watching and waiting. My flat head and low-set ears are perfect for this job, as I can peek over obstacles without being seen. When an unsuspecting meal comes close enough, I pounce with surprising speed and precision, using my sharp claws and teeth to secure my catch. My diet is very specific and depends on what's available in my high-altitude home. My absolute favorite food is the pika, a small, rabbit-like rodent that lives among the rocks. Pikas make up more than half of my diet and are the largest animal I can consistently hunt. They are plentiful and provide a good source of energy. Besides pikas, I also hunt other small rodents like gerbils and voles. If the opportunity arises, I might even snatch a small bird or a young marmot. But pikas are truly the cornerstone of my survival out here on the steppes. Hunting is a solitary activity, and I spend most of my life alone, perfecting my skills. Each hunt is a calculated effort. I use my excellent vision to spot movement from far away, and my incredible hearing to detect the faint sounds of small animals. I move slowly and deliberately, keeping my body low to the ground to avoid detection. This methodical approach is necessary because a failed hunt means wasted energy, which is something I cannot afford in my harsh environment. Every successful catch is a victory that allows me to survive another day in the wild. My life is a continuous cycle of watching, waiting, and hunting. I don't roam far and wide. Instead, I know my territory intimately, including every good hiding spot and every pika burrow. This knowledge gives me a significant advantage. My entire behavior is shaped by the need to conserve energy while maximizing my chances of catching a meal. I'm not a social creature who hunts in groups. My success depends entirely on my own skills, my patience, and my deep connection to the rugged landscape I proudly call my home. Life is getting harder for me and my kind. We are currently listed as near threatened, which means we are close to being in serious trouble. One of the biggest dangers we face is habitat loss. As humans expand their settlements and agricultural activities, my wild, open spaces are shrinking. Another major threat comes from the decline of my favorite food, the pika. In some areas, people consider pikas to be pests and carry out poisoning campaigns, which wipes out my primary food source and leaves me to starve. It's a chain reaction that puts my survival at risk. Unfortunately, the threats don't end there. I am sometimes hunted illegally for my beautiful thick fur, which is used to make coats and hats. My body parts are also sometimes used in traditional medicine, even though there is no scientific basis for their effectiveness. Even domestic animals can be a danger. Herding dogs, brought into my territory by local pastoralists, can attack and kill me. These dogs also compete with me for food and can disturb my quiet, solitary life. All these pressures combined make it very difficult for my species to thrive. Raising a family is also incredibly challenging. A female Manul is only fertile for about 1 to 2 days out of the entire year. This tiny window makes finding a mate in our vast, sparsely populated territories very difficult. If mating is successful, the mother will give birth to a litter of kittens after about 10 weeks. She raises them alone in a hidden den, lined with fur and feathers for warmth. The kittens are tiny, weighing only 100 grams at birth, and they face many dangers. Sadly, many of them do not survive to adulthood due to predation, disease, and a lack of food. Finally, you might be wondering where my common name, Pallas's cat, came from. It's a story that goes back to the 18th century. I was first formally described to the scientific world in 1776 by a German naturalist named Peter Simon Pallas. He was exploring the lands near the Caspian Sea when he encountered me. In his honor, the scientific community named me after him. So, while I prefer my local name, Manul, I carry the legacy of the man who introduced my grumpy, fluffy face to the rest of the world.